All right, welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Sunday night, January the 5th. I would call it our long national nightmare, but it's not a national nightmare. It's the most relevant that they've ever been because the Tennessee Titans completed the tank today, completed the tank in its entirety, and found themselves with the #1 overall NFL draft pick. It presents a golden opportunity for Amy Adams Strunk. We're happy to have you in tonight. Obviously, there's going to be no discussion about that game because the only thing that matters about that game is that they lost that game. But there's a lot of stuff going on here. I know that there has been some discussion about what are people hearing. Josina Anderson's got some cryptic messaging out there about the Titans general manager job. I will tell you that there's just to kind of get into it, because there's a lot of different things going on tonight. We may have news tonight. We may not have news tonight is all I'll say for now. This is a really fluid situation, as most of these things are, and there's a bunch of different people saying a bunch of different things about who's safe and who's not, who's actively campaigning for people to keep their jobs, who's actively campaigning against people keeping their jobs. And ultimately, none of it matters, because the only thing that matters is if Amy Adams Strunk makes a decision that she believes in to the effect of the Tennessee Titans and what is in their best interest moving forward. There's a variety of different things here. I know Titans fans are largely excited about the draft pick, and I think there's something to get into on that. I talked to Brian Callahan, talked to Jeffrey Simmons, talked to Will Levis, and a variety of other people. It's a weird vibe around this situation because so many people wanted them to lose this game today. And they did lose this game today, like they've lost 13 other games en route to one of their worst seasons on record. It's not as bad as 2014 was. 2014 had actors in it, particularly Ken Wisenhunt, who were much less easy to deal with and made a much less viable situation for not just the fan base and the media, but also the people that were employing Ken Wisenhunt at the time. So Wiz was the worst in 14, but this is second worst. And to an extent, it's reasonable to expect that there might be some changes made here, though nobody, no matter how many sources they cite, until it is made official by the organization, nobody knows what Amy Adams Strunk is going to do. Only we know that they have the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft, that it's a tough year to be this kind of bad, but it can still help affect your fortunes. The question is now at the forefront, because there's no more question about the draft order. Now the questions will become, well, do you draft a quarterback? Do you trade out? All these different things going on. Will things be kept for stability? Should they clean house? It does give her the opportunity to do so, but I think there's a larger issue here, and that's what we're going to dive into tonight. Because yes, it is good for a 3-14 football team to have the #1 overall pick, but do you trust them to get it right is the thing that is now in front of us, and I am very skeptical about not even Rand Carthon, not even Brian Callahan, though I have my suspicions about what that may or may not be at this point in time. What I'm most concerned about is the people at the top, about Amy Adams Strunk, and whether she is going to make the decision that, may be her decision, but is it actually in the best interest of the franchise moving forward? And I don't know that you can trust her to make that decision at this point in time. So let's continue to move through it here this evening. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time. If you're new here, happy offseason. It's over. The Wicked Witch of the 2024 Tennessee Titans. Well, depending on who you view to be the Wicked Witch of the 2024 Tennessee Titans. Either way, the season's done, dusted, put it to bed. We'll do the autopsy later on in the week. But we're proud, as always, to be presented to you by Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action. ZenSports.com is where you go for more information. Betting just gets better at Zen Sports. By Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. That's Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com for more information. By TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch, TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. And by our new partners at the Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. We are, Bart Durham, obviously, and the legend himself passed on, but his son continues on their practice. The results you deserve, whether it be auto, big truck, or motorcycle, you can reach them 24/7 to get your legal questions answered at bartdurham.com. We're very proud to have them as a part of the show, and certainly it's a good time to jump on board because there is going to be a lot of interest in the Tennessee Titans now that they have the number 1 overall pick. But could they add to the intrigue of that by continuing to meddle around in the organization? Jason Lucoda says, Buck, why is no one saying that we have an organizational problem? And it starts with Amy and Brinker. Well, listen, it all starts in it. Let me start here first and foremost, okay? Because I've had a lot of time to think about this. A lot of you think that I'm gonna come out here and say that everybody should be fired, everybody should lose their jobs, everybody should go in a 3-14 season. And there may be some logic to that. But the thing that I come away with after working my way through this, after talking to a variety of people inside and outside the organization, people who have been inside the organization and are now outside on the organization, is that this is 100% Amy Adams' fault. 100% this is the fact that losing is being celebrated. Listen, if you're going to be bad, I have no issues with you securing the number 1 overall pick. The best possible way to turn this thing around is to organically regenerate your roster by having success in the NFL draft, developing players in-house, finding cost-effective solutions instead of paying at the top of the market for tier 2 type of players that change teams. But for some reason, when those players who have been good players, and by the way, Calvin Ridley eclipsed 1,000 yards, maybe Lloyd Cushenberry has a successful season if he doesn't bust his Achilles halfway through this season. There's a variety of different things that could have gone more in the Tennessee Titans' favor. But here's the thing at this point in time, and with everything that's going on now, I think that there is so much to be questioned about her, about Amy Adams Strunk, about the person who has the most control in this situation. And the question that I'm going to ask you is this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch in the comment section. If you would like to get involved, it's your Two Rivers Ford take here this evening. How do you feel about the Titans securing the number 1 overall draft pick at the end of the 2024 season? Let me know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. In the comment section, we'll discuss at length together right after I remind you that the Primetime Program and your Two Rivers Ford take are made possible by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. They are the best in the business. They make the car buying process fast, easy, and more fun. tworiversford.com for more information. So with everything that's going on right now, how do you feel? Your Two Rivers Ford take is, how do you feel about securing the number 1 overall pick? 3-14, the Titans benefited from a loss today, their draft order, rather. We'll talk about whether the Titans did benefit from a loss today, but the draft order benefited from the loss today. And also the New England Patriots beat the Buffalo Bills and summarily fired Gerard Mayo afterwards because they did have control of the number 1 overall pick. Firing Gerard Mayo, who did a better job than Brian Callahan did as a head coach this year, puts everything on the table. And there are going to be a lot of questions asked and probably answered within the course of the next couple of days. Black Monday, right around the corner. The team's not even waiting, in the case of the Patriots, to fire people and continue to move through this process. Whether or not Amy Adams Strunk will make those kind of decisions tomorrow, or will she do it more unconventionally? If she decides to do it, will she do it like she did with Vrabel, where 24 hours passes, he's still got his job, then Tuesday morning they end up firing Mike Vrabel after she'd had a change of heart in season about the direction that she'd like that franchise to take. So this is the process that we have gotten to. If you listen to Nick Suss of the Tennessean, who was on the podcast on Friday with me, we talked about this at great length. They have discussed the Titans organization en route to 3-14, en route to securing the number 1 overall pick. They have discussed that progress is not necessarily linear. But you heard Suss on Friday on the podcast say, well, no, their route to the number 1 overall pick has never been more linear. Records do not matter for everything, but they do matter for what you are defined as. And what you are defined as is the worst team in football. Excuse me while I take a drink. My voice is going to be trash. We've been talking to a lot of people. We've been, getting ready for prime time. We've been running around doing a million things. The weather's ass. So I'm going to try and get through this the best way that I can. So you'll forgive me if I have to do that a couple of times through the show. But there's a lot of things going on at this point in time. So you secure the number 1 overall draft pick, but you, if you're Amy Adams Strunk, you wanted more control, and you got more control. The control for the Titans organization now is squarely in the hands of Amy Adams Strunk, and she does not have people to push back on her internally. And by the way, let me say this, knowing that this may help the organization or may hurt the organization, and it's not exclusive to Amy Adams Strunk. It's her football team. She gets to do with it basically what she wants to. It is not a publicly traded organization. Even though you guys have investment in the Tennessee Titans as an organization, she gets to do with her football team whatever she decides to do with her football team. The question is, for you as fans, is she doing it correctly? And that is the thing that I think is most under the microscope right now. She could clean house, and it may not matter. She could keep things in place, and it may not matter. If she, after, having some issues with a coach who wanted more control, and she was determined, because it is her right, and she is very opinionated, and I believe that she really wants to win. But is she making the best possible decisions and trusting the people that she hires to do the jobs that she has hired them to do, and to give them the necessary time that they require to do these jobs at a reasonably high level? Does she employ proper leadership? Or has leadership essentially been punished because if you disagree with Amy Adams Strunk, and if she feels a certain type of way about your disagreements, and it's her team, she gets to make these decisions if she wants to, but is she making the correct ones? Is she following the correct advice? Is she following anybody's advice? I know that there are advisory councils around her. I know that they had a search committee to put together this coaching staff. I know that they have said all the right things about what their vision of the Tennessee Titans are. But with her having the most control that she's ever had and removing, let's say, a strong leadership type of figure like Mike Vrabel, who wants alignment with ownership. And again, it's not about Mike Vrabel. You could plug Jim Harbaugh into this conversation. You could plug Bill Belichick into this conversation. There are any number of strong-willed, independent, no, this is how we're going to do things because this is the correct way to do things, type of figures that butt head with ownership all the time. But the thing about disagreement is that it's essential. And I don't know if there's anybody to provide that constructive disagreement for her at this point in time, because we all need it. Listen, you get ego from anything. Take it from an egomaniac. I get it. Like, it's tough to tell me shit. But the only way that you can grow and improve in any role, no matter what your role in business is by being willing to admit when you get it wrong and being willing to learn from your mistakes instead of doubling down for whatever reason, whether you don't want to look wrong publicly or for any other reason that you have, instead of, having the courage of your conviction. Maybe you truly believe that these are the right people to get the job done, but the vision is 3-14. So how are we supposed to look at this, see any level of direction, understand how miserable that place is to be in right now, whether you're talking to players who could not have been happier to have this season over, or Brian Callahan? I mean, you'll hear from him in a minute talking about, he could really use the time off. That made my head spin. The idea that that's the kind of response that's being given by a coach that just finished 3-14. Amy Adams Strunk's fan base, what many of you, and by the way, some of you are brave to attend. Some of you were brave to attend this game. Some of you had hope. Some of you had, some love. You wanted to see them win. Most people wanted to see them lose in this fan base, and it, long-term benefits them to lose in this particular spot. But the fact that I watched a game today, their 14th loss on the season, from a franchise that I thought at one point could win a Super Bowl under Amy Adams Strunk, and to see, most people happy to see them lose, and to see the ones that decided to show up and support their team because they want to see them win no matter what, made to look foolish because, of course, they weren't going to beat the Houston Texans today. And to hear some of the commentary from the locker room, it was not organizationally aligned to beat the Houston Texans today. And that's fine for fan base and media to point out, no, it's better for you to lose. It is unacceptable for there to be any semblance of, no, we're good with losing this game from any level of the organization, so much that it permeates down to the locker room, which is the most important thing that you cannot infect with your losing mentality. And it has been infected with that. There is a culture of losing right now with the Tennessee Titans, and the number 1 overall pick can help bail them out, but it's not the most important thing in the world, and it doesn't automatically solve all your problems. And it may make you think, no, we're going to be much better and secure Shador or Cam Ward or all these different things. You have to get it right. You have to have the correct people in place, because right now the only thing that I can discernibly tell that the Titans, under this much of Amy Adams Strunk direct control, is better at losing. They're the absolute best at losing. That was proven today when the New England Patriots won and fired their coach as a result. Again, who had a better season than Brian Callahan. I am fascinated to see what they do here. I think there's so many different directions that they could go, and I have no idea how to predict what's in her head. I know that there's a bunch of different things flying around. You'll see a bunch of cryptic messaging on social media. You may end up seeing movement. You may not. But at the end of the day, all these questions are fair to ask about a person who put themselves in this position directly with their decision-making. And now these are the fruits of the decision-making. The number 1 overall pick is a good thing for a franchise to have. But there are a number of franchises. Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. How many number 1 overall picks have they had? And they're still ass. If you have an ownership group that at some point decides that winning's not the most important thing, as it's, been kind of hinted today that there were people plenty interested in the organization in having the number 1 overall pick more so than they are winning, that's infected. It'll infect every level of your business, no matter what business you're in. You know how hard it is to find good leadership at any level. Whether you may work in a job and you may think that your job place has dysfunction, and then you may leave and go to your next job after working for a person for a certain amount of time and find, no, this is not better in this particular organization. Organizations have dysfunction everywhere. The question is, do you have the right people in place to manage those things? And are you willing to let those people do their jobs? And are you aligned? Or do you mean what you say? Zach Bingham has one of my favorite lines that he likes to use. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And I think there's been a lot of smoke blown about what they want to do while they've been too busy marketing at the time where there's a perfect storm for them to be upselling you on a new stadium. And at some point, winning ceased to be the most important thing. Like I said, when you're in this position, when you're this bad, the best possible result is to lose. I'm completely acknowledging of that. I'm just saying that we've been sitting around wondering what the Titans culture is. And after 17 games in the first year, in this current new vision of the Tennessee Titans that they've presented, the culture is emblematic of losing. And I have no idea whatsoever whether or not she is going to make the right decisions here. But all we can do is sit back and watch. That's how I feel about the Titans securing the number 1 overall pick today. Because, the draft conversation is going to be interesting. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about quarterback, Shador, Cam Ward, on and on it goes. What will they do in the second round? What will they do? Well, they don't have a third-round pick because you gave it to the Chiefs for L'Jarius Sneed. But there's all manner of different things that will be happening that will occupy our time and will be mindless, and you can do them over and over again, and there'll be fun exercises every time. But in all seriousness, I want you to ask yourself, if you trust, as a Titans fan, because I know the vast majority of you are, I don't know. I see you guys making many, many comments, and I'll try to catch up to as many of them as I can, because I know some of you are asking questions, and they're fair questions to ask, and I just wanted to make sure that I kept my train of thought so I don't get too distracted like I am right now. But my point is, you were told by your owner that to win more games than you lose, to simply win more games than you lose, was unacceptable, and then you went 3-14. that you had Lombardi Trophy aspirations, and now it's okay to secure the number 1 overall pick and literally be the worst team in football. And that the things that you have put in place and the people that you have supported here are the right people to turn this around, when in reality, there are a lot of reasons to think that this whole situation is very suspect. And that you have made these decisions based on just simply wanting more control over your organization. And that's your right. You can make those decisions. But you have to be prepared to deal with the consequences. And the consequences appear to be pretty awful. Now, will it be enough to deter? This happens all over the place in the NFL, by the way. This is not the first organization to get on shaky ground. Titans fans have been through this before. Prior to Amy Adams Strunk, she helped turn this thing around. But just in the same way that John Robinson had a very, very successful start to his career, and then crashed out in the last 3 years, just because you are one thing at the start does not make you that same thing the entire way through. And I think that Titans fans are totally fair to demand some level of accountability from Amy Adams Strunk to make sure that she's making the right decisions, not just in the best interest of her and her organization, based on what she thinks, but based on what you think. Because it's your team too, even if she owns it. So I'm really, really interested to see what happens here. And I don't know that we'll ever hear from her one way or the other about all of this. But I'm sick of this. The watching people celebrate the Titans lose a game, and then watching people celebrate even more because the Patriots won a game so that you could secure the number 1 overall pick to be the best at losing this year. That's a far cry from what you were told this product was supposed to be. And then you were asked to renew your season tickets for 2027 at the brand new shiny Nissan Stadium, and all the marketing around it, and all the different feel good around it, and all the different, let Rand cook things around it. I bought it too, and I'm just as culpable as anybody. But I'm willing to take a step back here and say, no, I don't know if this thing is actually headed in the right direction. And I think the question that you guys genuinely need to ask yourself, and I hope that she asks herself too, because I believe that she wants to win. But I also believe that she has to put the right people in place and allow them to do their jobs the right way, rather than making rash decisions, as she has shown a pattern of in years previous, and changing her mind on things instead of committing to a vision, understanding what the expectations are, and then being prepared to go through the uncomfortable parts en route to getting there. A lot of different things going on. There's not going to be a press conference with Wayne Carthon tomorrow. We're going to hear from Brian Callahan and the players on locker room cleanout day. But I know that's a long rant. It's a 22-minute rant about me not trusting Amy Adams Strunk to put this thing on the right track anymore, because I genuinely believe that they could win a Super Bowl as an organization under her, just as I believe that the Titans were capable of going to a Super Bowl under John Robinson. And then the last couple of years, you've seen a pattern of behavior that you need to start to red flag after a certain period of time. Because, the number 1 overall pick is great, but you have to be able to do something with it. Otherwise, you're just going to be one of these dysfunctional franchises that stays bad because you can't commit to something. I almost gave out the phone number like I'm doing the radio show. That was such a radio show type of rant. But there's a lot of different things going on, and I don't know what's going to happen on the radio show tomorrow that may distract us from these kind of conversations. So I wanted to make that I had that here with you first. What was your reaction to the number 1 overall pick at this point in time? Mine is that it presents her a golden opportunity to blow this thing up, because I think that you could find just about anybody in the NFL to go 3-14. And I was not made to feel better about that situation after talking to people like Jeffrey Simmons today.
And the draft and all that, I don't understand it. I didn't understand kind of how things went today, and it's the guys in this locker room. No, I'm nobody else, and I lay it on the line for the guys in the locker room, and that's the reason why I play the game. When you form a relationship and you build a relationship with guys in the locker room, like I said, if you're able to go, if I'm able to go, speaking for myself, I should say, if I'm able to go out there, no matter brace up or not, I'm going to go out there.
Is this one of the strangest situations maybe you've been in as a player, where you're playing in a way, not for you by any means, but the fans are playing to see a number 1 pick, but you guys are playing to win a game?
I think the guys in the locker room playing to win the game. I feel like we went out there and I played in this game. I had a mindset that we was going to try to win this game, and I don't know. No comment. I put my all into this. I mean, I think when it comes down to a draft pick, we should be able to. That's upstairs. That's their business, and it's out of my control. But like I said, I come into this. Like I said, I'm braced up out there. I'm giving my all for this team, and 18 games, and I just don't get it. But like I said, it's for the love of these guys in this locker room.
Jeff.
To hear Jeff Simmons kind of no comment around the idea that the organization as a team, basically was public enough about it, even to hint at the idea that not everybody on that team working for that team was aligned in the idea that that football team needed to win a game today. Again, there are two different things. I completely understand the fan perspective of the draft pick. I get it. I really do. But they have allowed fostered a culture of losing to infect this football program at this point in time. And that cannot be permitted. If it's seeping down to the locker room the way that Jeff kind of alluded to, that to me is unacceptable by any stretch of the imagination. And it happens in a lot of organizations, but you can't let it get to the players. You can't let it get to the coaches. You can't influence the coaches. You shouldn't influence. I mean, you can try and get away with it, but you cannot influence the coaches to not go out there and actively try to win games. I just think they're headed in a bad way. I really do. And I don't think that getting the number 1 overall pick fixes what's at the root of their problem right now. There was some level of vision when the Tennessee Titans were at their best. And I really did believe that they had something going for a period of time now, but they've brought it down. They brought it down so far. At a certain point, I'm going to get tired. I don't know about you, but I'm going to get tired of people blaming the roster. You've had just as many off seasons to get it right as John Robinson did to get it wrong. I understand it was in a bad way, but at some level, I'm tired of hearing the players exclusively blamed for it. The people who put those players in positions, who continued to draft and make questionable decisions as far as the roster goes. The coaching staff that was explicitly brought here to make these players better. And I really struggle to find a place anywhere on the roster where the Tennessee Titans are actively a better football team than they were a calendar year ago. All of these decisions were made by the person at the top, green-lighted by the person at the top. And people who may have influenced her decision-making, who may have offered her advice, whether it was good advice or bad advice, I suppose we'll find out. And whether those people continue to have her ear or continue to earn her trust, we'll find out. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of different things. And Tom Pelissero is reporting no major changes in Indianapolis between Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard. They are expected to return in 2025. There's nothing definitive out there about the Titans right now. Brian Callahan is believed to be the one that's more safe. The situation around the Titans front office, what they'll do, who they'll do it with, do they have a plan in place? Are they flying by the seat of their pants here? All I'm saying is it's a lot more speculative on the front office side for the Titans than it is the coaching staff side. And I think that's even crazier because if you can't pick up your mind on one, you're going to keep half of the thing that person brought in and let go of them. If that is in fact going to be your decision, that's something that Gentry Estes wrote about in the Tennessean, right? We talked about that column asking them to fire Rand Carthon and Chad Brinker. But what if they don't fire Rand Carthon? What if they don't fire them both? What if they fire Rand Carthon, make him the scapegoat, promote Chad Brinker, and keep Brian Callahan? Then what did we just do for the last 2 years with Rand Carthon, if that ends up being something that they do or something that is being considered? These kind of things are the things that lie under the surface. I honestly don't think that there should be a lot of blame on everybody's got their part of blame to do with it. There's blame on me for buying what they were selling. There's blame on them for making the decisions that got us to this point. There's blame on the roster for not being good enough in the moments. And you can divvy up those levels of blame based on what you believe your opinion to be about everybody's respective situation. But I'll tell you, the lion's share of it starts at the top. And it's on her to mean what she says and find ways to get this thing to a point where it's not just good enough to win more games than you lose, and where you actually mean it with your chest when you talk about Lombardi Trophy aspirations, instead of just gaslighting a fan base into thinking that something revolutionary was coming this offseason, when in reality, they're just doing the, excuse me, they're just doing the shit that the rest of the league's been doing for the past 5 years. And it's revolutionary to you and no one else. And how to go for you when the rest of the league has been doing this for 5-6 years at this point, maybe longer, and understands exactly how to stop you. And you don't have Joe Burrow anymore. You shit the bed. A lot of questionable decisions got us to this point. And it's fine to celebrate the number 1 overall draft pick. And I'm not here to take that hope away from you, because hope matters here. But I also don't want you to trust them to get this right implicitly, because it seems to me that there is at least starting to form a pattern of behavior where they are decisively getting it wrong. So with that being said, Brian Callahan spoke to the media earlier today. This was another part of this that I really disagreed with, and I'll tell you why here in just a second. Are you for or against the Titans cleaning house is going to be the second question here. So that's, that can mean whatever you want it to mean. I mean, obviously it means general manager and head coach, but you can give your answer for or against, or you can have some nuance about it. If you'd rather keep one and let go the other, let me know in the comment section, and I'll tell you how I feel about it here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage makes the primetime program possible. Don't sell without the intel edge you require for GaryAshton.com. Michael Cates says, Buck mad right now. I just don't want you guys to get fooled. Like, I think they've tried to pull the wool over your eyes about what this shit actually is. And listen, there's plenty of businesses that are dishonest about what they may or may not be, or what they're trying to upsell or sell. Certainly that's not the Ashton Real Estate Group, because they will give you the intel edge you need to succeed no matter what. The official real estate agent of me and the Nashville Predators is GaryAshton.com. But I just don't want you guys to buy the hype when the hype when the hype that they have sold you has failed so decisively. You guys may not feel this way about me, because I know most of you think that I hate your football team, but I don't hate you. And I don't hate them, but I hate some of the things that they do to you. Because if it happened to me as a fan, I'd be real shitty. If I saw some of the things I do see some definitive problems. The team that I love the most, many of you know, Indiana basketball, is the only thing, this only team that I'm, a diehard fan for, right? Football's awesome. I don't have an NFL team. I cover the Titans for a living, and I'm passionate about a lot of the things that they do because they impact me, they impact you, and all these other things. But I can't wrap my head around why it's taking so long to kind of poke holes in some of the stuff that they've done, when continually they present you with an inferior product and try to tell you that something's else. Jonathan Caverly says, A to Z was part of the preseason hype, though, Buck. Maybe you missed it. I accept blame. I accept blame for buying what they were selling. I accept blame for not pushing back harder on the decisions that they made. I accept blame for coming on here and thinking that they'd be capable of winning 4 more games than they actually won. I thought they were going to be capable of winning 7 games. In my head, it all made sense. The decisions all made sense. And then they didn't work out decisively, and they look like fools. Anthony M says Buck is clearly an emotional mess fanatic. No, I just think something smells really rotten here. And maybe the number 1 overall pick is enough to cover it up, but I don't think it should be. And I don't think it should be for you. Anyway, for or against the Titans cleaning house at this point, let me know in the comment section, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. So Brian Callahan, we had the press conference today. Benjamin Buck says, will you sleep tonight, Buck? You sound pretty stressed. I don't know. I mean, there's news going on. This is the fun part. Like, I know, it's the season end, but now is the most important part, because this season they've wasted everybody's time. So now this is incumbent upon them to not do this for another season. And is it going to be enough if they win 7 games, which would be a 4-game improvement upon the shit that they put out this year? I don't know. And if you don't believe that these people are the right people for the long term, then yeah, you do legitimately have to think about cleaning house at this point. Toby the Titan says, Buck, everybody goes with the info that they have at the time. Everyone thought this was turning around. You don't need to apologize. New info leads to new opinions. No, I'm very much a believer in people being able to change their opinions based on new information becoming available. In fact, I don't think we do it enough as a society. And instead, I think people get, too often labeled flip-floppers or whatever. No, it's okay to adapt your opinion based on new information that becomes available. But it's also okay to accept responsibility for the opinions that you had at the time. And that's, most of you guys know I don't like to be wrong, but I'm okay with being wrong and talking about it because there might be some things that I missed. And maybe I can learn from that. And maybe that we can get better and we can do a better show. And I can be more, I can just provide a better service for you. I want to get better. But I think Amy Adams Strunk probably made some serious mistakes along the path to getting to 3-14. Is she willing to admit that she made them with whatever action that she might take? She's certainly not going to do it publicly in a press conference where she takes questions about this because that's not her style. And that's fine. Again, she doesn't have to. But I think the only way that meaningful growth can be established is if you recognize your weak spots and work decisively with a team of people that you trust to improve them. Because at the end of the day, no one person is going to win the Super Bowl. No one quarterback, no one pass rusher, no one coach, general manager, no one owner. You have to stick with an aligned vision that is clearly defined for all parties involved so that everybody understands how to do their job the best possible way to accomplish that goal. And right now, they've never been farther from that. They did have some people that were capable of doing that. They did have figures like Derrick Henry. They did have figures like Jarrell Casey, Wesley Woodyard. Mike Vrabel, I think, contributed to this, though. Mike was not without his flaws. And by the way, I don't necessarily think it was the wrong decision to let him go at the time. I think Mike Vrabel will be a better coach for getting fired here. Brian Callahan may be a better coach for getting fired from the Titans if he ever gets fired from the Titans. Rain Carthon may be a better general manager if he ever gets fired from the Titans, because you can learn from these opportunities, especially if, like Callahan and Carthon, you're going through them for the first time. But were you given a clearly defined vision, clearly defined jobs, clearly defined roles so that everybody in the organization understood what you were trying to get to? Or were you trying to sell tickets to a stadium? That's really, I think, what's at the crux of the issue. And I don't know why it's taken so long for us to talk about specifically her as opposed to making it, Levis, Carthon, Callahan. Well, the football's done. The football on the field is done. Now it's about the people that make the decisions at the top to try and improve this thing. Scott Van Horn says, dude, what owner has press conferences and answers questions? She doesn't have to answer to anyone. Vrabel destroyed the team because of his ego. Well, John, I think, lit their future on fire more than anything. And I think, Mike probably made some mistakes along the way. Mike Vrabel definitely wasn't the crux of their issue. John Robinson is the reason that the Titans are still in this hole, but they have had ample enough time to show progress that they're digging out. And instead they've gotten worse. They went from 7 wins to 6 to now half of that. 3. They are the worst in the league. That's unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. So we'll see how they continue to manage this situation. And there are owners who give press conferences. Martha Ford. People like to cite the Lions. Well, look at the Lions. Look how much they struggled en route to becoming one of the NFL's best teams. Well, they had an owner who I think had a clearly defined vision, who spoke. And it's not even about speaking to the media, but it's about speaking to you, whether it's through the media and doing so in a clear, forthright way that you can articulate the plan other than just gaslighting you. And I think there's a serious difference between the ownership that the Lions have and the ownership that the Titans have. And I think it's crazy that anybody would ignore that fact at this particular point in time. YP says you're talking a lot. Yeah, I know. I don't normally do shows this long, but, I got a lot of things in my head about how this, it's been 18 long weeks of this bullshit. I got a lot of thoughts. We've been sitting on them for a while until this miserable thing ended. And you could finally, gather your thoughts on, all right, what happened here? What actually happened here? And you'll continue to find out things along the way as more information becomes available. But what happened here was a disgrace, completely and totally. While Mike Giardi of the Boston Sports Journal, who, by the way, called them firing Gerard Mayo 3 months ago, he just texted me, good luck talking yourself into these crappy quarterbacks. Man, I'm too busy trying to talk myself out of a crappy organization, much less the quarterbacks. I feel bad for the quarterbacks. Because if the Titans organization brings them in here and tries to just run out the marketing about Shedeur Sanders, come see our new stadium, come see Shedeur, look at him on TV. But Brian Callahan, for example, may think, well, let's get a veteran quarterback in here. Let's get him some run. Let's try and do something. Let's let Shedeur get comfortable and develop, but marketing and business and ownership decide, no, I'd rather see the exciting rookie play. Let me see the guy that they keep putting all the Sports Center highlights on. Let me see if I can't get Deion Sanders at a Titans game or all these other things. And it's not in the best interest of the football team. That's the kind of shit that you got to guard yourself against. And again, these organizations are everywhere like this. But the problem is you don't want to be one of them. And then again, there are signs that they are trending in the wrong direction. The wrong direction at this point in time. Okay, so with everything that's going on right now with the organization, are you for or against clearing house? Here's what I'm going to say, okay? I think that if they're going to fire one, they have to fire both. I think that is the only sensible way to do this. Do I think that will happen? No, I do not think that they will clear house that way. Do I think it should happen? I think that you can find a lot of people to go 3-14, and that there's nothing wrong with not lulling yourself into a false sense of security just because these are easier people to work with than the people that you had in years past. I think you've got some clear and obvious deficiencies as far as leadership at the top goes that have to be addressed to give this organization a direction to prioritize winning above all else, not winning the press conference or all the other bullshit that they do. And I think that at this point in time, you have to continue to consider, okay, well, what's available out there and how valuable is this job actually with the number 1 overall pick? I think it gives her a great opportunity to do it. I don't think she will, because I think that would be an admission. It wouldn't be a public admission, but it'd be a private admission that you all see publicly that she got it wrong. And I don't think she likes to be wrong very often. Just like any other human, there's ego, there's pride involved with these things. And I think serious mistakes were made along the way, but I don't know if she's going to be willing to cop to them. And that's what the next couple of weeks become about. Now, also, she could genuinely believe, let me say this, she could genuinely believe that these are the right people to get the job done. But again, if you're going to do that, do not fire one and keep the other, because that's not the whole collaboration, we hunt together type of thing that was sold. They did a lot of selling on a lot of different fronts. I think Carthon and Brian Callahan got a bet. I think Brian Callahan and Brian Carthon got a raw deal because their first time general manager and head coach getting an opportunity with an NFL organization. But I believe that NFL organization didn't have direction when they put all these things in place. And I believe that Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan at some point in their career may suffer for it. I think plenty of people suffer for it. I think there's plenty of bad football organizations out there. Doesn't mean that they can stay bad forever, but there has to be internal recognition that something's not right here. Something's gravely wrong at this point in time. Absolute clown show of a season. Absolute clown show of a season at this point in time. All right. So I'm for doing it all at once. I'm against doing it piecemeal. That's the way that I'm going to answer this question. If you're for or against clearing house, that's kind of where I'm at this point in time. Curtis says, what was Rand supposed to do differently? Brother, I agreed with so many of the decisions that he made. It's how they let me think about how can I say this the best possible way. When you work in an organization like this one, plenty of people are jockeying to continue to keep the boss's favor. It's tougher to do when you've spent $228 million and the results are 3-14. I'm not saying that heads are going to roll specifically for that, but I'll tell you, it lets you fall out of favor. Maybe the boss liked you at the start, and maybe they saw you make decisions that they didn't agree with the results, and you fell out of favor over a period of time. That's an absolutely real thing that's happening. And also, there's people campaigning for people to keep their jobs internally because some of those people offered her advice on who to hire and who not to hire. There's plenty of people advocating, maybe not necessarily to her, against people to keep their jobs, but there's internal strife in that organization. She's created a situation where there's not one united vision, where there's factions in this building. And how she addresses those things is going to be fascinating, because I do think that Rand made a lot of the correct choices. I think that Rand tried to do this in the best way humanly possible to get this thing up off the mat, and it still may not be enough. That's the thing that's going to be the most curious about this. Did he do enough? I think to an extent. Did she agree with that as the season wore on? There's reasons to believe that that was not the case. The other part of this is the number 1 overall pick also presents whomever you might hire in these jobs a clean slate, whether it be a general manager or a coach. But again, I'm against piecemeal. Do this thing in one fell swoop or don't do it at all. All right, little Sunday fun day. Before we wrap up, what's the best thing that you saw? Again, I'd be curious to see what happens in the next, let's call it 24 to 48 hours. That's when conventionally these decisions are made. Nothing may happen at all at this point in time. But just know it's ongoing and nothing is certain at this point other than discussions are being had around people that should keep their job versus not keep their job. And that is, ultimately we'll see the results of that here probably by the end of the week. Okay, Sunday Fun Day. What's the best thing that you saw this football Sunday? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch in the comment section if you would like. While you do that, I will remind you about Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action. ZenSports.com is where you go to participate in the place where betting just got better. Zen Sports VIP program is also excellent, and they also have awesome opportunities for you to win great prizes that come with cash prizes even of $10,000. ZenSports.com/sweepstakes is where you go. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789 for more information. Zen Sports, where betting just got better. Okay, so best thing that I saw this weekend. There was a great many things that I saw. Bert, do you want to run through some of the best things that we saw? Do you want to do this together? He doesn't seem confident.
No, I don't want to do it together.
You won a division. You're happy. I'm rooting for the Ravens to win the Super Bowl because I'm so happy for Derrick Henry that he's playing meaningful football instead of dealing with this bullshit.
Well, there was a bunch of great stuff going on today while you were dealing with all this bullshit, as you like to call it. My 2 favorite moments. One, the reason that you guys have the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft is thanks to the Patriots, but it's not because of Drake May. It's not because of Gerard Mayo. It's because of Joe Milton.
Bryce Young, Texans took C.J. Stroud too, and I guess the rest is history. Milton running for his life, all kinds of flags, all kinds of activity. Milton fires to the end zone, and it is caught. Yeah. Douglas.
That play didn't even count. There was a flag. He had another.
Joe Milton played his ass off today. Like Titans, I saw somebody tweet Joe Milton gave his all for Tennessee once again for them to secure the number 1 overall pick. Joe Milton had himself a day. Drake May started the first series, and I was kind of surprised that they just said, all right, Milton, let's go. But, Gerard Mayo won a game and got fired. Did Joe Milton get Gerard Mayo fired?
That's a great question.
People are asking.
There was a lot of it wasn't just great stuff today. I don't know if you've seen since you've been on, there's been more news come out. First, that the Indianapolis Colts would not be making a change at general manager or head coach. We also got some post-game scrum media stuff from the Dolphins game. And Tyreek Hill gave kind of an ominous quote about whether he was going to be down for the Dolphins long term, basically saying, I'm leaving the door open. I'm going to do what's best for me. So not everybody's happy, but a wide receiver who is happy is Mike Evans, who crossed 1,000 yards. Is it tying or breaking Jerry Rice's record for consecutive 1,000-yard seasons? Maybe they'll talk about it in this clip. Let's find out together.
Mayfield throwing. Evans! He does it! Jerry Rice has company!
That didn't say shit. Yeah, you guys figured out.
Well, Jerry Rice has company. That means that they've tied.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they've tied. Oh, you were listening to the PA announcer. Good for you. I was just like, good job.
Yeah, sports, yeah.
Sports, yay.
Quickly before we go to the next one. Wait, quickly. I have to quickly remind people the True Man Fitness and the Gulch, TrueManFitness.com for your first workout free. Bert's on his fitness journey. So am I. True Man Fitness will put you in position to succeed. Go to TrueManFitness.com. No workout ever recycled or repeated. All right, continue, Bert.
There was no more videos, but something I did want to bitch about. So Josh Allen today. Josh Allen started the Buffalo Bills game against the Patriots because they wanted to continue his consecutive starting streak at something like 115 games or something like that. That is the lamest thing I've ever heard in my life. He's not going to play. He's just going to start so he can keep doing, because he wants to go for Brett Favre's record. Oh, that's
going to count when they bring it up in his MVP discussion over Lamar this year, Bert. That's going to really.
Hey, you know what? You know what should count? The fact that they lost. He started that game, so that is a loss for Josh Allen. That means he lost to the third-string quarterback of the New England Patriots. If this start streak is something that's so important, well, he started a game and they lost to the second-worst team in the league. So add that on in while MV3 is loading in. Lamar Jackson, I don't care what the odds say, he should be MVP and Super Bowl MVP. Seeing the Ravens open up as 8.5-point favorites at home against the Steelers. Whopping, dude. The market is way down. The smart money would be.
Steelers have lost now, what, 4 in a row?
So their market's down. Everyone's down on them.
And there are pitchforks out for Arthur Smith, by the way.
And Mike Tomlin, which is insane to think.
Mike Tomlin goes through cycles.
It is insane to think that anyone would ever bitch about Mike Tomlin. The dude is the bane of my existence. He's going to have them. You just don't have. Imagine being competitive for that long every year, having a playoff team.
All I do is watch a team lose now. I don't ever see competitive football anymore. This is what drives me crazy. There are ways to be meaningfully competitive and not just bottom out the way that shitty franchises do.
Speaking of bottoming out, there's some Fox drama out there. Maybe you'll talk about that on the show tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We're a Fox station. Maybe we shouldn't talk about it.
Are we a Fox station?
Yeah, Fox Sports. It's what comes on before Ramon, Kell, and Will, 6 to 10 tomorrow morning. We'll be talking
Why
about
on earth would I know what's on the air before 6 a.m.?
2 pros and a cup of Joe. You don't listen to Jonas Knox and LeVar Arrington and Brady Quinn. Brady Quinn, by the way, biggest whiny baby, know-it-all, tight polo.
So you just asked if we should talk about something or not talk about something and took out a Fox employee after claiming for us to be a Fox affiliate. Get off the screen.
All right, I get out of here. Nice.
Right now. Well done. What he's referring to is what's going on with Skip Bayless and Joy Taylor and lawsuits being alleged, and Fox Sports in some heat right now. So listen, Black Monday's tomorrow. I wish I could tell you what to expect. Nobody can tell you what's going on in Amy Adams Strunk head right now, other than people are speculating. So we'll find out together. If you're happy about the number 1 overall pick, I'm happy for you. And quickly, I want to say, because this officially concludes the regular season, thank God it's over. Well, depending on what God you pray to or if you have a God or whatever, like not even to get your religious affiliations into this, okay? All I'm saying is that sucked, but I so appreciate getting through it with you guys together. I am hoping that your organization makes the right decisions to get this back on track. I am skeptical of them being able to do so. I hope that does not diminish you or your hope for the offseason, because I don't let anybody take the hope away from you, but also don't trust blindly is what I'll tell you about the Tennessee Titans or, anybody that you deal with in your day-to-day life, just as you wouldn't blindly trust a lawyer or a doctor, or you shouldn't, because there's sometimes it's okay to be skeptical of some things if you feel like you're in not the best situation and it feels like it's running counter to what you know is common sense. Don't get blinded by the thing that you love. And the thing that you love is this football team. All I am hoping that they do for you is that they start to respect you the way that you respect them. And maybe you don't have respect for them right now. And all I'm saying is just keep one eye open on them, because there's going to be a lot of decisions that they have to make. And I have no idea what the hell they're going to do here. See you guys tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. We'll have a lot more information by the time we get on the air at 10 a.m., whether or not that has to do with the Tennessee Titans. Black Monday is going to be upon us. There are things out there like Kevin O'Connell getting traded from the Vikings, which would be batshit crazy. It is the beginning of silly season, which means that it's what the Titans do best, win the offseason. But at least you got the Oilers uniforms. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone. Have a great rest of your evening.